Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about the things we can't see. Let's talk about 1, 2, 3 and how life is supposed to be. You are safe with me, so hear me out. There's so many things that we can talk about. So hear me out.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of Hero Me Out. This is your host, Hero Bongabang, and together with me, I have a person who's seasoned already in the field of mental health and psychology. Everyone, let's all welcome Mr. Novi John Paralisan. Hi, sir!
Sige. Hi. Grabe naman yung season. 31 pa lang ako, hindi pa seasoned.
Uy, pwede na yun. Season na yun, Sir Novi. Ano ka ba?
Hmm.
Kamusta ka, Sir
Dapat
Novi? How are you?
age range lang. I'm good. I've been busy working on mental health these past days and past weeks, but I'm good. Thank you for asking. How about you? Kamusta ka, Hero?
Okay lang ako, Sir Novi. Recently I'm very busy because of number one, my production thesis. Number two, I have work to do. I'm actually a part-timer. I'm a content writer
Mm-hmm.
for marketing in a Singapore startup. That's why I have a lot of things on my plate as well. Sir Novi, hindi nyo pa po pala yata na introduce yung sarili nyo. I'll give you the time to introduce yourself. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, everybody. Hi, listeners. Grabe na podcast talaga. I'm Novi. I'm a
Yes.
mental health advocate. I'm an educator. I want to say that I'm a guidance counselor and psychologist. I'm a licensed, but I'd like to say that I'm more than a mentor, a life coach, and a person that anyone can journey with, especially when they are experiencing difficulties and psychological disturbances. I'm a person that you really can count. Tama ba ako? That you can count in when you have those psychological problems.
Please plug your organization and where you work.
Mhm. I'm the Vice President of Davao Association of Guidance Counselors. I have my virtual clinic, the Pusong Psychological. You can add us on Facebook, Pusong Psychological sa
Yes.
Facebook. I do some content and I accept virtual bookings if you need someone you want to talk to or if you need some consultation regarding your mental health.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Sir Novi. Ano pong ginagawa nyo pa sa pusong psychological other than helping clients?
Yeah, we provide psychological services, counseling, workshop training. We do mentorship program, OJTs, and many more. As long as it is related to psychological services, we also do assessment and all that. Yeah, I also teach. I'm part of
Nice.
Philippine Women's College and Davao Doctors College, so and other organizations that I'm currently employed. So medyo busy yung life.
Opo nga, napansin ko nga din po. In your daily work po, Sir Novi, and the clients that you have every day, how important do you realize mental health is?
Ever since I become a psychologist and a guidance counselor, I think it's important talaga yung mental health natin. I want to speak coming from my own experience. I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and I also have issues with my self-esteem, with my self-concept. I have issues with my family. I have issues about people around me. And with that issue comes also in my understanding about mental health. Because my personal take on it, to be able to understand mental health, you should be able also to understand yourself. And sometimes because there is that difficulty of understanding the people around you, or sometimes the reality is there is a difficulty of understanding yourself, and I can say that it has a relationship into how your mental health is. Therefore, I believe that it's very important, because at the end of the day, mental health is about you, how you think, how you feel, and how you behave.
How important is mental health in everyone around you, regardless of your work?
um we are a social being, whether we like it or not. There is really a need for us to relate to other people. That's the givens of life. That's something that coexist the moment we exist in life. Going back to my definition of mental health earlier, it is about yourself, how you think, how you behave, and how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. So if there is problem about your mental health, or there's problem about yourself, you are not able to understand yourself, you're not able to fully hindi mo maintindihan yung sarili mo, kumbaga nahihirapan ka ring intindihin ng mga taong nasa paligid mo, whether it be at school, at work, or even in your family. I also believe that we are a byproduct of traumas coming from
Yes.
our parents, the society in a greater scale, the community, organizations, or basically the family talaga. And with that pa lang, may issue na. So if it's not settled, then we have problems about our mental health. We have problems if we have problems about mental health, then it's difficult for us to relate to other people. The basic logic for that is nahihirapan ka ngang mag-connect sa sarili mo
Mm-mm.
as a person.
Mm-mm.
Paano pa mag-connect sa other people? If it's a need, then how can you fulfill that need if there is that difficulty of understanding yourself?
I agree. Sir Novi, how important is mental health in the workplace? Like, kailangan ba yung mga ka-workmates mo, they're knowledgeable, they're aware of your mental health, or how should they act about mental health when it comes to mental health?
The work, it's very important. Our mental health sometimes determines our relationship at work. It determines also our productivity. It determines as well our internal motivations why we wanted to work. Gaano
Yeah.
ka-importante yung mental health in the workplace? It's very important kasi it determines our productivity, our relationship, and our internal motivation why we wanted to go to work. Ano yon, like the feeling of the worth that we wanted to achieve, the importance, and the all the internal motivations that we wanted, and we achieved that, or we gained that through work. So that's important. The second part of the question is, how should people around you act on that? That's really the problem nowadays, because when the pandemic hit, we can there is a lot of information about mental health, but the problem is there really enough understanding on what really is mental health?
Mm.
To see that how should people act on it, it takes a lot of policy, I guess. It takes a lot of mental health policy at the workplace. It
Yes.
takes a
I
lot
mean,
of
the workplace should be able to start recognizing that mental health leaves, kung meron man, should start
mm,
being embroidered in the organizations,
correct,
no, Sir Novi?
correct. Ang hirap sagutin yan kasi it's okay if it's an international company, I guess. In my work experience, kasi they value mental health, and they have programs relating to mental health. But
Um,
what if you're in a mid-range, ganun ba na you only have at least 20 employees, where the where it is more important na may income compared to mental health. And in the Philippines, mas marami yung mga small medium enterprises na mga companies compared
yes.
to yung mga malalaki. So I really had difficulty of answering that question.
How was the state of mental health before 2018 when before Mental Health Act was established as a law, Sir Novi?
Um with I think that's Republic Act 11036, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken. It's a national mental health policy. Yun. How I believe may mga companies na nag-adapt. I believe when I was with my previous job as
Mm-mm.
a wellness coach and psychologist ng isang company, it's a mental health provider company. Marami ding mga companies na nag-adapt. Maraming mga companies na they're giving free mental health services sa mga employees nila. But
Yeah.
generally, I guess, especially in the local, kasi yung mga clients ko is really local, hindi siya na-adapt. May problem pa rin when
Mm.
it comes to seeking some help sa mental health. Like, example, the usual clients ko, they are, ano ba, they are mga nasa academe, for example. Nahirapan silang mag-consult ng isang mental health professional. For one, mahal siya. Second is there's still the stigma. For teacher, they
Oh,
have the
yeah.
stigma that dapat they have to be strong. Ano pa ba? Other areas na with my experience, mga nasa sales na company, which is very stressful. Nasa
Mm-mm.
insurance and mga sales type na mga jobs, which is very stressful. They don't have access to mental health. The company are not providing them with free mental health services. It's not yet part of the PhilHealth. Merong part sa PhilHealth pero yung mga severe cases like schizophrenia
Yeah.
and the like. But how about the prevention type? Like, may issue ka, may face ka, may psychological issue ka, may personal issue ka at certain point of your life. Uh, hindi mo na-address because yung sabi ko, mahal siya and may stigma. And you're an
Mm.
employee. You don't know, you're an employee. And the third pala is you don't have enough awareness on what is mental health.
Yeah.
So, ang gagawin mo is you just brush it off. Okay lang yan, magiging okay ako. Kulang lang ako sa dasal, kulang lang ako
Yeah.
sa tulog,
The
etc.,
one of
etc.
the misconceptions about mental health. Sa tingin mo, Sir Novi, when people
Hmm.
really say those things na I can get through this, do people actually get through them even without psychotherapy?
I don't think so. Kasi nga, di ba, we're, by birth pa lang, we are a byproduct already of trauma.
Yes.
By growing up, maraming mga nurturance yung mga parents natin na unconsciously, hindi rin nila kasalanan kasi they're also byproduct
Yes.
of it. And yan, from that early on pa lang may issue. Ang daming issue about mental health technically.
Mm-mm.
Parents are not taught to be effective parent. Kasi nga, they are also a byproduct sometimes of broken family and all that. But going back to the
Yes.
question na lang, yun, may stigma siya. And uh, yung question mo ngayon, I'll bridge that to my argument a while ago about employees,
Yeah.
hero.
Yeah.
Hindi siya, nagiging compounded siya. Nagiging layers na siya of trauma or nagiging layers na siya of negative emotions
Oh.
or nagiging layers na siya of issues because hindi siya na-address early on. And going back also to the
Mm.
policy, yung mental health policy ng ginawa ng Philippines. Kasi hindi siya compulsory or walang, hindi siya, ano ba, walang agency that check on it. Or if meron man, it's not fully implemented or it's not strongly implemented, kumbaga. I hope hindi ako mabash. Yan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
To which I agree naman. I
hindi siya
agree naman.
strongly implemented or maybe kulang lang din ng compliance sa mga companies for that matter.
Yes.
The employee will just brush it off, isosuppress niya yung emotions niya, yung struggles niya, and nagiging unconscious behavior siya. It is
Mm-mm.
manifested sa anger, it is manifested sa mga different relationships, kahit married na yung
Yes.
employee, nagiging namamanifest siya sa ano ba sa negative vices, alak,
Yeah.
sex, ano pa
Mm-mm.
siya, babae,
And other coping
um,
mechanisms.
and other negative coping mechanisms
Yeah.
that that's the sad part. Until such time na may significant event na nangyari sa buhay ng isang tao, ano yung mga major life events ng tao, death of a family member, losing one's job, etc., etc. And yun, bumabalik yung lahat ng issue. Not just that
Yeah.
phase, but starting birth until to the present, he will be or she will be confronted with all those issues. In return, nagiging disorder na siya in the process.
Yeah, and because of the stigma that we place on mental health, minsan yung layers na nabuo na to from trauma, parang this is unnecessarily nabubuhos when you the first time that you receive psychotherapy. That's why I feel like Sir Novi, correct me if I'm wrong, but in my own opinion, parang it's the very first um it's the very first session that's usually the heaviest. Tama ba, Sir Novi? Do you
Mm,
agree as a
I don't
as a
dati
psychologist?
I agree. Dati I agree.
Ah,
But now
now?
um I think yung pinaka-struggle is yung mga later session na. Kasi the first session, ang struggle doon is the resistance, the defenses, and
Yeah.
the rapport building. But later on, you realize na it wasn't that. 'Di ba? I was not talking to you. Example, you hero coming to me with issues.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you, hero na taga UP,
Yeah.
hero na nagfi-thesis ngayon, hero that interviewing me. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the hero 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The hero that was pained, the hero that struggled, the hero that ano ba, naiwanan ng panahon, and that's difficult. Kasi I will not just be journeying with you now. I will as time goes by, we will go back since from the very beginning. And the person na napag-iwanan, si hero na 5 years old, si hero na 10 years old, that is my job to bring that to the present and
Oh.
help that hero or collaborate with that hero some healing process, and after that we move forward in life. Yun yung mahirap, and people doesn't understand that. They don't understand that
Mm.
kasi what they understand is that you only seek psychological help when one, there is hallucination. Second
Yeah.
is there is delusion. Third is there is deviance in your behavior. And when a person is already in that point, ang hirap nun. Ang hirap
Mm-mm.
nun. Kasi affected na yung physiological part ng body. Ang hirap na nun kasi hindi siya kailangan ng psychotherapy lang. It needs an holistic. Kailangan ng medication,
Yeah.
kailangan ng family support, kailangan ng community support, and all that to be able for us to help the client na maging okay. While it's possible na maging okay sila, pero research would always show na pag extreme cases like schizophrenia and meron siyang history ng family, mahirap talaga siya. Knowing that we
Mm-mm.
don't have, especially in Davao, or in Digos na lang, we don't have facility. We don't have
Yeah.
enough psychologists. We don't have enough doctors to cater the best treatment that needed for that client.
Wow. Grabe. It must be so nice to have you as a psychologist, no, Sir Nobby? Yun yung
I
inisip
hope
ko.
so.
Grabe, ang galing mo mag-explain. I just want to put emphasis regarding the fact that these traumas, these doesn't go away through time. These pile up into layers, as Sir Novi said. And when the task of a psychologist isn't to help you address your trauma, just the trauma that you're currently having or feeling or experiencing right now, but also the other traumas that you've had in the past. So
Mm.
grabe. So parang it's like the way that you handle your patients, it's more of like dissecting the discussions and their traumas slowly. Parang you're digging deeper and deeper the longer that you have discussions with your patients, and um usually it tends to get messier kapag the longer that you have sessions with your patients. But my question to you, Sir Novi, is it worth it? Um, having a lot of psychotherapy sessions and digging as deep as you can with every patient's traumas.
In a professional perception or a personal, ano ba? Personal or professional point of view?
Magkaiba ba yung sagot mo pag personal sa professional?
Medyo. Professionally,
Okay.
it it's draining personally kasi bago pa lang ako. I still have that mentality na I needed to prove myself. Kaya nakakapagod siya. Second is that there is a duty that I need to fulfill. And part of that is to make every client feel better. after
Yes.
every session that I have. So draining siya kasi that is also my trauma. That is also my personal issue
Yeah.
to please my clients. Thirdly is it's not I would say it's not worth it professionally kasi it should come from that internal motivation that you wanted to help the client. It should be innate in you, and not just do it because you wanted to earn from it. Yun. And
Yeah.
that would bring me to personal. Uh, Personally, I think it's worth it. Kasi all the things naman, when you're able to help someone, that is really fulfilling. Second is that it's worth it because not everybody is given that trust. Not everybody is given that
Yeah.
opportunity to journey with a client, to hear stories, and to be in depth, and to go beyond the superficial. Kasi kaya nga may problem sa mental health sometimes kasi we look at them sa kanilang panglabas na behavior, panglabas na attitude, panglabas na kaanyuhan, and we fail to acknowledge na people wanted to be validated. People wanted to be heard, to be seen,
Mm-mm.
and to be appreciated. So it's very comforting, especially when clients come to me and they tell me that they thank me for the job well done. And personally, because tao ako, may pangangailangan ako. And one of those
Yes.
pangangailangan is that, I also wanted to be appreciated.
Yeah.
Professionally, okay na ako. With all honesty, kasi mas marami pang mas magaling sa akin. Ibigay ko na sa kanya. But as Novi na simple lang, simple lang, I believe importante sa akin yun that, I get validated with the work that I do as a person. Yun.
Mm. Amazing.
But I'd like to get back para Hero. Yung sabi mo, the more session, the more it gets messier. I would tell you, the more it is messier, the more it is good. Kasi as a person, maraming defense mechanism ang person. Ayaw
Yeah.
nilang maging vulnerable. No one wanted to be in pain. No
Ah,
one wanted to struggle. And when I see that in the counseling process, that is courage. That is resilient. Because
yeah.
you go beyond your comfort.
That's
You tell,
bravery.
that's bravery. You tell your story, the story that you've hold on for the longest time.
Yes.
That is something na very good pag it gets messier. Kasi marami ng data. If you wanted to be scientific about it, marami ng data, alam mo na kung saan ka patungo. Alam, as a psychologist, I have already an idea what approaches appropriate for that. Kasi maraming data. The more siya, maraming data, the more siya mas madali compared sa wala kang makukuha na data or limited lang. Kasi you will always be confused. Ano ba talagang problema ni client? Bakit
Yeah.
ganito? Bakit ganyan? So the more it is messier, the more it is better for the working
Yeah.
relationship. We need to be we need to be
Need to be what?
dirty in the counseling. Ito lang sa akin baka ma-quote ako. But I like that idea that we need to be dirty. You tell me everything about you because I don't need someone that is good. I don't need someone that is I'm you come into you come into my presence. You contact my person, my very person because you wanted to be helped. 'Di ba? And if you
Yes.
wanted to be helped, I wanted to know you. And I'm not very
Mm-mm.
interested in the good part of you kasi people around you are already proud of you. Your parents,
Yes.
your friends, the community, your school that you're into, you're
Yeah, but
proud. They are
but
proud
the
of that.
bad parts, these are the
But
ones
the
that,
part,
yeah,
yeah, kaya
these are
nga,
the ones
we're
that
always
need
in
work
struggle
on.
for worth, di ba? Always in
Mm-mm.
struggle for worth. We wanted to pass the subject even if we don't understand the lesson. We wanted to get the work done because we wanted to please our bosses,
Mm-mm.
even if it's no longer serving us personally, etc. It's not fulfilling na, but we do it because what? Because there is that need. And
Mm-mm.
yun ang sabi ko na I want you to be yourself. if nagmumura ka, if pangit yung ugali mo, hand it down. Lay your cards, kahit ano pa yan. Because
Yeah.
that's why you are paying me. Because I am there to journey with you. And part of that is not to give you some accolades, to applause you in all your achievements,
Mm-mm.
but to journey with you, even at those times that you felt that you are
Yeah.
alone.
Even in the
Mm,
darkest times.
correct.
Yeah, yes. Sir Novi, I just want to emphasize how important it is to know that even as you've mentioned, when you mentioned your personal side, um, I, I realized how important it is for me to stop thinking that psychologists themselves are immune to these mental health illnesses, right? So
Mm. Uh,
parang
may answer
even
ako dyan.
really? Sige po, go,
Mm.
share.
I think it's important in my experience. All psychologists has different approach. Psychology should be human. The more human you are, the more wounded you are, the more experiences that you've had,
Yes.
the more you can help other people. And I always tell this to my mentees. I always tell this to my interns that you have to own your story. Kasi ano yung motivation mo of doing that, 'di ba? We can be motivated by money for a while. But what if, 'di ba? You already fulfilled all those things. Lahat ng gusto mong bilhin, nabili mo na and all that.
Mm,
What keeps you staying? 'Di ba? What keeps you staying is your purpose in life. And when you are fully human as a person, when you acknowledge your imperfections, when you embrace all those negative
mm-mm.
things that you experienced before, the bad things that you've done to others and all that, it makes sense in the counseling room kasi clients can connect to you when you're human. But when you project yourself as doctor, a psychologist, as someone very good at in all your endeavors academically, people can't relate to you in that matter. You won't
Yeah,
discuss methodologies. You won't
yeah.
discuss achievements. You will be discussing about pains, about frustration, about anger,
Traumas. Yeah.
traumas, and when your client can relate to you, kasi may process yan, may technique yan, may disclosure yan, something in the counseling part na you need to my technique na you need to disclose something about yourself, and when you use that to your as psychologist, when I use that, it's very powerful kasi client can relate to me. Client will tell me, hindi pala ako nag-iisa. All the while, I am bringing all these pains, this trauma, these negative emotions. All the while, hindi pala ako nag-iisa.
Mm-mm.
I have someone pala. And when we share that connection, we also are sharing that pain, that frustration, the struggle. And because we are sharing that, it lessens the pain. It lessens the struggle. And we
Yes.
start to connect into a more healthy and a therapeutic way.
Yeah. And we start seeking professional help from
Mm.
from licensed people, and that's what's amazing kasi when you seek professional help, you know for a fact that you're doing something about it, and you have courage enough to know that the person you're talking to is a safe space and trustworthy enough, like you, who
Mm.
talks to people about their traumas. Sir
Correct.
Novi, when you have psychotherapy sessions with people, how long does it usually take for you to find out na this is your diagnosis. Ito yung sickness niya. This is what she's feeling right now.
Hindi siya madali, with all honesty. Hindi siya at this session, yeah, I can say you are this. Hindi siya ganun.
Yeah.
Meron siyang ganun, especially pag depression and general anxiety disorder and clinical depression. I don't really categorize them as like this already, or I don't diagnose them. Yung clinical impression ko is hindi ganito agad. It would take me a lot of sessions. In my experience, mga 4 to 5 sessions or more before I can say that ito yung diagnosis ko.
Yeah, and how
Yun
long
yung
are these
problem ko.
sessions usually?
Mga 4 to 5 sessions, tapos if may suicidal tendency, at least twice a week
Oh.
or once a week. Pero pag stable naman, nakakatulog, nakakakain,
Yeah.
walang breakdowns at least once in every 2 weeks or
Mm-mm.
twice a month. So
It
yon, matagal yung diagnosis ko.
yeah.
And I don't like iba kasi yung approach ko when it comes to psychotherapy. I don't label them. I just see them as persons going through. But scientifically, we need to find out then ano yung problem niya
Yeah.
para we can find solution to it.
Yeah,
Or
but when
sometimes
you
because
when
mm,
you when you have discussions with them, you treat them not as this person with this disability, but you treat them as
mm,
a friend or like a person who's just struggling without that
mm,
label.
correct. So I see them as person lang. Person na needing some help.
It must be so difficult. Ngayon ko lang na-realize. It must be so
Mahirap
difficult.
siya.
Yeah.
Pero I don't like to say mahirap siya kasi that would ano ba?
Discourage.
Hindi naman discourage pero I believe kasi that in society we play different role. It happened lang na ito yung role that I needed to
Yeah.
play.
And
So
it's a rewarding
it's
role.
it's not something na you guys are doing the visual arts. I have so much respect in what you're doing. That's good for your mental health and that's good for the society and for the next generation and the future
Yeah.
generation and all that. I guess yun na it must have been difficult. All jobs are difficult. It
Yes.
just needs something na ano ba yung wise mo in life? Ano ba yung gusto mo sa buhay mo? Ano yung purpose mo to keep
Mm-mm.
us going? Para all the wise, if we combine it together, we can live a better society.
When we go to the aspect of the academe or the school, how do you think mental health plays a role inside the school sa mga
Ang laki,
students?
ang laki, sobrang laki yung mental health concerns in the mental. By I think guideline ng CHED, if I'm not mistaken, 1:500. One guidance counselor to 500 students. I think same also with the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Pero, di ba, you've been a student. Meron bang guidance counselor that is readily available to your concern? Wala.
Sa
That's
akin,
basically
personally, ay,
personally.
me personally, fortunately, meron naman. But then, I realized na I come from a privileged point of view. So,
Mm,
but then I started to think about, paano yung mga public schools? Paano yung mga people with, in remote areas with little to no help regarding their mental health? Do they even know mental health or are they even knowledgeable or aware about it? So parang yun yung mga thoughts na lumalabas sa isipan ko. That's why I realized na how difficult it is for the Philippines to be able to tackle on this topic and be able to address everyone's mental health, especially the students. Kasi
mm,
um ang dami ko nakikita sa internet, sa media na stories about people, about students, mga little kids trying to struggle every day just to get to their school.
mm,
Tapos it must be just as hard realizing that that's not something that should be normalized kasi pagpunta mo pa lang sa school parang hours of travel, hours of difficulty, parang it affects your mental health greatly. And then knowing that for a remote area there's not much mental health professionals around there to help you and you just learn to go with it on your own. And in the end parang yung trauma na to na embroider na sa'yo, and that's sad.
correct. Yan, going back to the question,
Mm,
it's important kasi I'd like to cite lang example.
hmm.
We are I'll take one theory for this one para maging scientific tayo.
Sige po.
Pero I know you can relate to this one. According to Carl Rogers, meron tayong yung worth natin, condition, parang we're conditioned for our worth growing up. And this is sad kasi it is manifested sa school, 'di ba? Our parents um always conditioned us na pag nakatap tayo, we will be rewarded for something. So we are conditioned na pag natap tayo or malaki yung grades natin, um, we are rewarded for it. So the following year, hindi ka na-top, so hindi ka na rewarded for it. Kasi yun yung na-condition sa'yo. You will be bought new cellphone, etc. One bad example, which is I can say that, I've worked with a public school for 5-6 years. I had so much journey with the students. Tell me all the cases I've had, that dysfunctional family, depression, rape cases. I wasn't a licensed psychologist yet then.
But then you realized how
I've
bad
read,
it is.
I've heard all those stories. But going back to my example, a parent of mine before went to school and confronted me. Sir, bakit maliit yung grade ni ganito na student? Bakit 85 yung grade niya? So I asked the parent, ma'am, 85 siya kasi kulang daw na activities, etc., and all. The usual. As an advisor, the usual thing.
Yes.
I explained. Ang sabi ko sa kanya, hindi sir, palagi siya ganito, ganyan. So, parents, sometimes nga, ang running joke namin, ang problema, hindi yung bata, yung parent. But going back to my example, bakit masama siya? All the subjects got 90s. Pero why yung math lang yung nakita
Yung
niya? Yung finocus niya. Napagalitan niya yung bata because of the math problem. Diba? Isn't that unfair for the child knowing that majority of the subject got 90s and with only not really bad? Maybe the child is not really interested into counting numbers. He's more wanting to have science or English or other subjects na pwede siyang mag-excel. But bakit yung finocus nung parent is yung math lang? Ano yung result nito sa mental health niya? The child would think that he's not enough. The child would think that he's not sufficient. The child
he
would think
continue to do better, tapos to the point na hindi na niya makaya, tapos ma-disappoint siya, and then suddenly out of the blue biglang mawala siya sa top, and then it's an even more disappointment to her. But then
correct.
she doesn't know that what she did is already enough. Diba?
Correct. And the child would think he's a failure. And that is the worst kind of feeling, that you will feel as a failure. That was a child. Ano yung possible? Ano yung prognosis na mangyayari sa bata na yun? He will not study na. Kasi yun yung feeling niya. He's not good enough.
Yeah, kasi
Diba?
parang at the back of that child's mind, the child is thinking na if I worked really hard for this, if I did this much work just to be scolded for one grade that seemed to be the main factor for my parents' anger,
Correct.
I'll just give up.
I'll just give up. You will just you will not acknowledge that you're good in English. You will not acknowledge that you are good in science.
But you will acknowledge that you are bad at that subject to which the
that
parents
you
pointed
are
out. Yes.
a failure.
Yes.
Hindi yung subject mag-matter. At the end of the day, it's not the subject.
The whole person.
It's that feeling that you are a failure.
Yeah.
That you are not able to please your parents. Moving forward, that was the feeling. Moving forward, nagkamali during college. Ano yung ma-remember ng child? 'Di ba? It's not
the trauma.
It's not the process of the subject, kahit objective yung pagkabagsak niya. When I say objective, kasi mahirap yung subject, nagkasakit siya during that time, or any other objective reason bakit nabagsak siya. Ang ma-remember ng child is that he was a failure. Kasi early on, na-feel niya that he was a failure because the parent acknowledged that he was a failure when he had line of 8 or 85 grade sa mathematics, and the parent did not focus the other aspects ng life niya. So na-focus siya with that. And that feeling will be remembered again, will resurface. Kasi nga, when we talk about trauma, it's not a cognitive memory. You don't remember anything that is traumatic. You only remember that feeling. that feeling that you were in pain,
Oh,
that you were struggling, that you were a failure, etc., etc. And that is something na mahirap siyang i-resolve kasi it doesn't take overnight para ma-process siya. It
yes.
takes a lot of sessions. So yun. And going back to the question, bakit important yung mental health sa school? Because of that kind of parenting that we have with our parents.
Mm.
Not that I'm saying that
All parents are like that.
all parents are like that and mali ni parent. Our
Mm.
parent also is byproduct of their
Traumas.
traumas, of their own
Yeah.
issues and
And
all
they
that.
themselves have issues or mental health illnesses probably that they're going
Correct.
through that wasn't addressed because they feel like they need to be resilient for their child. 'Di ba?
Correct.
So
And
parang this
and
thought
mm,
like ay kailangan kong maging matapang. I should not show any sign of weakness because I'm a parent. And it's
mhm.
sad kasi it goes in circles. Kasi yung trauma mo mapupunta sa child, yung trauma ng child mo mapupunta sa parent. And yeah, that's sad. That's a cycle that we have to learn to break.
Mhm. And going back lang to the argument early on, yung bakit importante yung mental health. Kasi we need professionals to end that cycle. If we don't have professionals
Yeah.
to end that cycle, the
Wow.
cycle will continue.
Mm-mm.
And if it will continue, it will create a negative ripple effect pa rin to the next generation of students. And
Yeah.
just try to look at it in that perspective na
Yes.
mabigat na nga siya, dadagdagan pa siya ng mabigat. Kamusta naman yung next generation? Okay pa ba sila?
Yeah. Tapos,
Baka,
what's worse, Sir Novi? Tapos, what's worse, Sir Novi? The trauma that the parent does to the child translate to the child to his classmates.
correct.
Di ba?
Correct. Kasi 'di ba, we there's a need that we need to relate to the other people. So if ngayon, kung dati yung depression is only at their nadidetect siya or nagiging clinical na siya at the age
Mm-mm.
of yung midlife crisis. Kasi yun yung very normal. Tapos ngayon
Mm-mm.
nagiging pabata ng pabata siya. So baka next generation, 2 years old pa lang yung bata, clinically depressed na siya. Kasi nga 'di ba? Because of that ripple effect. I am just assuming na ganun yung mangyayari if we don't end this cycle of mental health problems.
Yeah. And it's sad kasi yung mga students, yung mga batang to, minsan they don't even realize that they're going through a mental health illness because they're not yet knowledgeable about it. They weren't educated enough about it because they're still young. Tapos
Correct.
and it's sad kasi then it only gets addressed when you become conscious enough about it, when you grow old enough to know that, oh, this is what I felt when I was a kid. And it's sad kasi it took me years for me to be
It's
able
good.
to address this, no?
It's good if the child is able to go to school and have mentors and was
Mm-mm.
educated with all of this. Paano pag the general population,
Yeah.
the only requirement for a certain parent is makapagtapos lang ng elementary or makapagtapos lang ng high school? Paano yan? Majority of the people in the Philippines, I would assume, he is hindi sila familiar with mental health. I don't think in my interview and with my discussion with my interaction with parents when I was in public school, I don't think ito yung priority nila. They would prefer to ano ba? To let their child work instead of
Mm-mm.
going to a doctor. Hindi naman lahat, pero normally ganun siya. So yun, when we talk about mental health in school, um, let's discuss it in a public school. Uh, mas ano siya, mas ma-understand natin yung importance ng mental health.
Mm-mm.
But Hero, I have bias on it because I was in the public school. I don't know if this is scientific, but yung private school na mga students ko, parang they tend to be more outspoken about their mental health. Maybe because they were educated about it. But an
Probably.
observation as well, mas resilient yung nakikita ko sa mga public school students. Pero hindi naman lahat. yung mga na journey ko lang.
Yeah, kasi
But
minsan
anyways,
nagta-translate din yung other aspects like kunwari your economic stability, your financial
mm,
stability. So parang iniisip din ng child, what if that child in a public school has other responsibilities than being a student going to school. Minsan when they go home, they're tasked to do a lot of things. They usually yung mga panganay, they are the ones that take this responsibility, and it's been difficult kasi I agree na it's not all the time that I view them to be this way, but it's na mas resilient sila for yung mga nasa public school kasi nafi-feel ko yung struggles and effects ng poverty to them, and the fact na uh, parang marami na silang pinoproblema, and they end up thinking like I can't manage to have a mental illness. I can't manage to experience this because I there's a lot of family members that are relying on me despite me just being still a student, 'di ba? Usually kasi yung mga private school parang mga financially well off, mga ganun. So parang if they are like, but I'm not saying that. I'm not hasty generalizing everyone to be like this, whether they're in public schools or private schools. But it's it's scary kasi we realize how much the other factors affect our mental health, no? Like financial status.
correct. I'd like also to add to that. Siguro ito yung positivity lang when it comes sa public school students ko before. And I think ito yung big factor why I can see na mas resilient sila, or I can see their resiliency because siguro it's not with public school sometimes both parents are working and
Mm.
walang attachment with the parents. In public school, sometimes the father works hard and the mother stays at home. And may bonding si mama tsaka si student. And with that
Mm.
siguro nagiging positive ano siya, nagiging positive coping siya, or if not
Yeah.
positive factor siya why resilient si bata. Kasi nakikita niya and na-understand niya. Or may tao, the mother, helps the student understand the situation of the family, that they're poor, that their father should work, and si mama walang opportunity kasi
Mm.
hindi nakapag-aral, kaya kailangan mong mag-aral kasi kung gusto mong maunlad yung mga buhay mo, then you need to study hard. You need to do well at school. Ito yung one factor. Kasi as an observation, ako, it's not scientific kasi I haven't had research about it. But as an observation, yung 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 mothers na naiiwan sa bahay and sila yung nagtututor tsaka sila yung kabanding ng bata. Um,
Mm.
ang behavior ng bata sa school is very good compared to the parent na dysfunctional. When I say dysfunctional, si mama, OFW, si papa, nagtatrabaho. So walang nag-aaruga sa bata. Another also is yung lola is taking over the child as their
Mm.
caregivers. So very positive siya. Ito yung mga factors na nakikita ko as professional, that I can see the difference between the behavior of the child, and siguro it's a positive factor na saludo sa lahat ng mama, ng mga nanay
Yeah.
na who let go of their careers, who prefer to stay at home,
For the
and
development of their child.
and if they are listening to us right now, hindi nila alam gaano kahalaga and gaano ka-important yung effort na yun
Yeah.
sa mental health ng bata nila.
Yeah, and also salute to the papas who are
Mm,
who are breaking gender roles, 'di ba?
correct. And to the families na who wanted to provide some middle income lang
Yeah.
because they see how important it is na may mag-alaga sa bata na parent talaga.
Yeah, but still thank you din sa mga thank you din for the
Baka
people
mabash na
who
tayo.
oo nga, kaya nagte-thank you na tayo sa lahat.
Sa lahat ng parents, wala kayong
Nagte-thank you na tayo.
kasalanan.
Yeah, pero I think we also should appreciate those who have parents who's both working but at the same time still trying their best to keep in touch with their child, 'di ba?
Correct. Yan,
Baka
ang
mabash
hirap
na
maging
tayo.
parent.
Ang funny.
Ang hirap maging parent. Ay, ang hirap maging parent
Mm.
kasi yan, saludo sa lahat ng parents na lang. Kasi may na lang. Saludo sa lahat ng parents kasi mahirap maging parent. Mahirap pagsabayin yung pagiging ina,
Mm.
pagiging daughter, pagiging asawa, pagiging tao.
Mm.
Mahirap 'yon.
Yes.
Mahirap at mahirap 'yon. Mahirap nagang intindihin yung sarili mo. Paano pa kaya yung pamilya mo?
Yeah.
And
And your
with
children.
people listening to us in this podcast, if you're a working person, saludo sa lahat ng inyo. You're doing a great job. And with the multiple roles that you're playing,
Mm.
what more can I say? I'm single. I I I only manage just my person, my family because I'm also a breadwinner. Pero mahirap siya. Paano na kaya pag may anak, may asawa and all that? So
Mm.
saludo sa lahat ng inyo. Take care of your mental health para maging effective din kayo na tao sa mga taong nakapalibot sa inyo.
So Novi, may mga instance naman ngayon. May mga instance naman ngayon sa work na what if there's this certain coworker that ticks you off and contributes to your mental instability? How do you think they should behave around people like those?
Ang hirap. Baka mabash tayo.
Baka mabash tayo.
Ah,
Huwag niyo po kami i-cancel. We don't mean any ill will.
um, by principle and by profession, what we can control of is the way we think, the way we behave, the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we behave. Yung only control natin yung sarili natin.
Mm.
By any chance na person around you becomes toxic, you have to understand, una, meron bang similar personality yung tao na ito sa nakaraan ko o sa buhay ko before.
Mm.
Kung meron, you are projecting the anger that you are possibly projecting to the people in your psychological history. Like your father, your mother, your tito na nakaaway mo way back, etc.
Yeah.
Kung wala, naging technical na tayo. Kung
No,
wala,
it's okay.
kung wala, then you have to understand your psychological disposition. Kamusta yung tulog mo? Kamusta yung kain mo? Kamusta yung problema mo? Kamusta yung pamilya mo? And all that. Kasi baka you are just being sensitive kasi you're going through a rough time. Third is probably, if you're female, kung babae ka, ito ba yung point na malapit na yung menstruation mo or menstruation period something mo? Kasi it affects also your sensitivity.
Yeah, and our hormones affect
It's
our
our
mood.
yun. And naman, as person, we only focus our attention to our emotion. If during that time, ito yung emotion mo, sometimes if you don't really if you're not educated or if you don't understand your own dynamics, mental health and all that, you will only focus on your anger to that person. So sa tatlo na yon, marami pa yan, but basically sa tatlo na yon, kung wala doon, most probably baka ganun na siya yung tao or coworker. Kung ganun na siya, then that's not something of your problem. Kasi problema na niya yun. By any chance that it will interfere to your professional work, then you can write written complaint, you can address it to your boss. If any chance na may harassment na nangyayari, then you can write a letter to the HR to properly address all of these professionally at the work.
Yeah. Sir Novi, what do you think or how do you think professional organizations should incorporate mental health programs into their lifestyle? Like, how do you think they should instill to their employees that mental health is something that people should bother being aware to?
Mm-hmm. Yun yung sabi kanina, yung mental health policy that should be
Yes.
every company should adapt to it. Dapat may program talaga, may mental health program. 3 years, 5 years. Kasi um, our, 'di ba, if we talk about human resources, ito yung pinaka-backbone ng company. The company can't run without its people.
Yes.
So the dynamics of all the people or as a person, it's very complicated. It's again layers, it's intricate, it's sensitive and all that. So kailangan talaga ng may mental health program in all the organizations para para makater yung needs, psychological needs ng mga tao. At the same time, if we wanted to raise and strengthen the productivity of people, then we need to understand and make interventions in the lens of psychology.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you for that, Shinobi. Given that, what are the best ways to stay mentally well at work?
At work, ano lang ba to? Strategies,
Mga
coping
ganun, mga
skills.
strategies, yes.
Marami siya. Marami siya. You can have it. Marami siya. May breathing exercises. Marami sa YouTube. May breathing exercises. May meditation. May EFT and a lot more scientific.
Yes.
But, in my personal experience, how to get better is that you try to make a lifestyle out of it. Mental health, incorporate mental health into your lifestyle. Mental health is as important as your physical health. So make time for yourself every day. Do something for yourself every day and have some time for healing every day. It doesn't need to be whole day. It only needs sometimes with ten minutes or 5 minutes um, every day para gawin yon. Yan. And siguro connect to your internal person once in a while.
Mm-mm.
How to connect to your internal person? You can
Yeah,
you
how?
can say a prayer before you start your day. You can do gratitude journal or gratitude affirmation, kung anong mga bagay that you're grateful for. Or you can talk to yourself. If you felt like you're alone in this world, then treat yourself as your best friend. At the end of the day, we can always say mental health is this and that. But I personally believe that mental health is about yourself. So if
Mhm.
it's about yourself, then maybe it's about time that you start journeying with yourself. If you have the difficulty of journeying to yourself, then ask some professionals. If you can't afford some professionals, marami tayong priests, pastors that are doing pro
Mm-mm.
bono or journeying na for free. Or if not, you can talk to your bosses. Good thing if your bosses are very helpful. Pero try to look some mentors that you can talk to. Um, ano yung mga concerns mo in life and all that. Mahirap siya at start kasi jahe, awkward. Pero later on, you will realize that mental health is about journeying to yourself.
Yeah.
Uh, when you journey when you journey to yourself, you will never go wrong. Kasi
Wow.
sarili mo 'yon. And lahat ng about sa'yo is hindi mali.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Sir Novi. How about for the youth, yung mga estudyante dyan, what are the best ways to stay mentally well in school as a student?
As a student, ang hirap, no? Right now, I'm thinking about being a student. And ang hirap ngayon maging student with the social media. Hirap.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
The
mahirap siya.
comparisonitis. Coined by
Mm,
Mr. Julius Neil Piala.
ang hirap maging student ngayon. The social media, the family structure, the cancel culture, the comparison, and all the egoistic activities online. It's ang hirap maging student. But if you're a youth that you're listening right now, ano siya, um, if you want to put premium on your mental health. Start it every morning and seeing yourself in the mirror. Try to write down ano yung nakikita mo sa sarili mo, sa mirror na
Mm-mm.
yun. Lahat na yun. And
Yeah.
if it's negative, the following day, try to watch it again. Try to eradicate isa-isa until such time na matanggap mo yung sarili mo matanggap mo yung taong nakikita mo sa salamin na yun.
Wow.
If you are having suicidal thoughts, do not hesitate to seek some professional help. If you have problems with your parents, try to talk to someone that can help you with your, not really help you, someone that you can ano ba that you can get out that excess baggage, yung baggage na dala-dala mo, or yan. And mahirap siya maging student ngayon, or mahirap maging youth, but you are all worth it. If you're listening right now and you're bringing with you that story na ikinahihiya mo, bring it on, talk to a professional, and you're not alone in this journey.
Thank you. So next we will go to the next segment of the podcast, which is Heroes the Tea. Basically magtatanong lang ako ng mga frequently asked questions regarding mental health, Sir Novi, sa'yo, and then you
Mm.
answer it to the best of your ability. Okay, let's start. Number 1. What is the most ineffective thing you've done to cope with your mental health?
Sex.
Oh.
Do we need to explain?
Okay lang, okay lang.
Yun yung when the easiest coping is that, I guess, eating, sleeping, and sex. If walang partner, masturbation. So it
Mm,
comes with that. Less of that or none of that means something, and it measures something about your mental health.
grabe. Thank you, Sir Novi, for that very bold answer. Number 2, what mental health myth do you find most annoying?
Na nasisiraan ka na ng ulo kasi it's more than that. May history
Mm.
siya. So about um that. Yun yung on top of my mind ngayon. Myth, yun. Or yung nasaniban ka ng something. Kasi it's more than that.
It's more than just parang possessions and all.
It's more than that. Napopossess ka with your anger that manifested na sa mga deviance na behavior mo or what. But it's not about that. Kasi may ginawa kang mali and all that.
Yung mga possessions, Sir Novi, is that a supernatural problem or is that a psychological problem?
I really can say. Kasi based on research, meron siyang cultural factor to it, and we just can't deny that kasi we're
Yeah,
living in
yeah.
one
We have to
community.
acknowledge it as well kasi it's part of
We
the
have to
culture.
acknowledge it. It's part of the culture. But meron kasing iba na um, like wala namang, hindi naman IT, indigenous people, and they tell you that baka kasi ganito ganyan. So yun, I don't believe. And like the usual problem, cancer and other diseases, late na siya natutugunan kasi early on akala nila it's about possession or it's about
Mm-mm.
demons and all that. So mahirap siyang solusyonan pag endpoint na siya.
Next question. How did the worst day of your mental instability feel like?
I feel like I'm the worst person in the world. I remember last year, I stopped doing counseling session kasi na burnout ako, and I'm going through a personal problem. So, yan. I felt like I was the worst person kasi I felt like I was not able to help myself. And I just can't reach out to
Yeah.
other people like my friends and all that. Kasi, I'm a psychologist.
Mm-mm.
Basically, this is my work. And, to be able to cope with that, I should also cope with all the traumas, with all my personal issues. And
Yes.
that's difficult, knowing that um, I am knowledgeable in terms of understanding
Yeah.
people's behavior.
Mm-mm. But it's difficult to understand yourself
Mm,
and fix
correct.
yourself. Yeah. If you could change something about people's perception about mental health, what would it be?
That it's about the triggers, I guess. I think I would like to change it in a way that it's about your person. It's
Mm.
about you. So sometimes it's not about because na-trigger ka of this and that. Yung kasalanan nila. Kasi the only thing that you can control of is the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave.
Wow. Okay. If there's anything good that has come out of your mental instability, what would it be?
I become a person. Tao ako.
Wow.
And I was able to fully understand my profession. Together with that understanding is that I was able to fully understand also my clients. And that's something that I will forever hold on to. I remember I have issues about family. I have issues about my father and all the dynamics in the family. And when during that phase of my life last year, I was in a depressive mood. I
Mm-mm.
stopped doing sessions, I stopped working, I resigned to all my jobs and all that.
Mm-mm.
I took it not because I wanted to isolate and withdraw from all the things. I just wanted to start healing. Kasi
Mm-mm.
it takes a lot of major major transition in your life, and it takes a lot of courage to be able to confront yourself. And yun,
Yeah.
it's the good thing that happened to me. I become a person. I'm no longer afraid to show to the world that I'm gay. I'm no longer afraid to show to the world that I'm struggling with my self confidence.
Yes.
Every now and then, if you observe, I always question myself because that's part of me. That's part of my trauma. But to say that it will hinder me to growth and to development, I don't think so. But every day, once in a while, I still question myself. I still have doubts about myself. Kasi that's just how I used to be. But currently, I'm working on it. And yun, because of what happened, I'm no longer ashamed of everything that I
Yeah.
am or I was before. I'm no longer of who I am, of who I was before. And
Yeah.
I'm willing to show it to them that I am this, I am imperfect. Today I'm good, tomorrow I'm not okay. I still feel insecure with the people, especially if people around me are very good at what they're doing. Yun, that at the end of the day, I always say to myself that tao ako. That's
Yeah.
normal and appropriate response when I relate to other people.
Yeah.
But I think what matters at the end of the day is how I feel about myself, how I feel about my mama, my papa, my siblings, and the people that I'm
Yeah.
working with. Yun. And
Yeah.
yun yung pinakamagandang nangyari sa buhay, na
Perfect.
maging tao ka.
Mm. Yeah, and the part of being human comes with thinking that every aspect of you can't be perfect, 'di ba? You have to
And it takes a
acknowledge that
lot of
fact.
bravery. Yung sabi mo
Yes.
kanina, bravery.
Yeah.
Kasi madaling maging tao, pero mahirap magpakatao.
Wow.
Kasi 'di ba? When ang daling ang daling maging tao. You do mistake. Ang dali, you can cheat, you can have sex, you can you can cheat, you can ano ba? You can make your own story, etc. etc. Ang dali nun. It doesn't take an effort. Pero yung magpakatao ka, kasi you acknowledge that you are also wounded, to acknowledge that
Mm-mm.
you also have that climax in your life story. The climax is not that good as same with everybody na they work hard and they achieve. Yung climax mo is that you achieve a certain point of emotional elevation, pero it wasn't good because it was about codependency, it's about depression, it's about anxiety and all. But you were able to acknowledge and you're able to share it. The hey, I'm vulnerable. hey, I'm this and
Yeah.
that, and that, whatever you think that I can do, I can achieve, I'm no longer that kind of person. I'm no longer that. I can be that person, but I'm no longer that, because right now I'm suffering, I'm wounded. I need to process my internal compass and all that. And yeah, I'll go back to that. It takes a lot of bravery, and it took me a while. It took me 30 years of existence. It took me 30 years of trying to understand myself, and coping and defending myself, and all the blocks, fences, and say whatever you wanted to say. Ginawa ko yun just
Yeah.
to just to show to the world that I'm strong, just to show to the world that I'm strong, that I'm okay, that I'm good, that I don't need help. But at the end of the day, it only takes that acceptance, and
Mm-mm.
a level of maturity, emotional maturity, to be able to accept your story. Not just to
Yeah.
accept your story, but to own your story. That this is your story. It's something that is part of your existence. It's something that you should own and you should accept to be able to move forward. And ito yung nangyari sa
Yeah.
akin. Naging tao ako because of that. And it shaped me, not as a psychologist, but as Novi. Yung Novi na bakla, yung Novi na may issue sa kanyang sarili, yung Novi na may middle child syndrome kasi hindi niya alam kung saan siya sa pamilya niya kasi middle child siya.
Ako din.
Yung
Middle
mm,
child din ako.
yung Novi na minsan gusto lang niyang gawin ang gusto niyang gawin sa buhay niya.
Mm.
Na gusto lang niya na hindi siya i-judge, gusto lang niya na i-enjoy kung ano yung nagpapasaya sa kanya and all that. And ganito yung tao, 'di ba? We all have, 'di ba, sa Bisaya, we all have that amats. We all have that certain point in our life that,
Mm-mm.
don't judge me. I just want to be myself today or at this moment. And we only acknowledge that kind of person when we are in pain. What
Mm-mm.
do I mean when we're in pain? When we are mending a broken heart, when we lose our job, when our parents separated, and all that. And what should be and should supposed to be is that you should be doing this once in a while, or at least once a day, para you
Mm-mm.
you give yourself a chance to feel your emotion. You give yourself a chance to make love with your emotion, and you give you a chance to bond with and connect with the real person that you are. So yeah.
Amazing. Parang naging therapy session na to, Sir Novi. Ang dami kong
Sana may bayad,
natutunan.
try lang.
Wala, sir. Nag-foreshadow na ng ano, nagparamdam na. Sana may bayad.
Joke lang.
Joke lang. Last question for Heroes the Tea. What is your ideal social environment?
Ideal in terms of mental health siguro, no, kasi mental health naman yung
Mm-mm.
conversation natin. I think we should be in an environment that is very accepting.
Yeah.
I'm saying this in a point of view of the person that I am. And I always say this, I'm gay. I am I'm dealing with family issues and all that, and with acceptance, genuine, deep, and
Yeah.
transparent acceptance comes a lot with love, care, and nurturance. So if we only have that kind of environment, I don't think that mental health issues will be ano ba, will escalate into a serious one.
Yeah.
Kasi I believe that ano, we are not being accepted for who we are. Our parents are byproduct of their traumas, as ito yung core ng conversation natin ngayon.
Yes.
And every day we struggle into accepting ourselves and the reality that we're
Mm.
living in. And if we only have that kind of genuine, transparent, and loving acceptance, then most probably it's easier for us to be the person that we really are.
Mm-mm. And the truth is, the problems that you're experiencing as a person, it doesn't make you any less of a person. On the contrary pa nga, it makes you more human and more brave because you know that you acknowledge these things and you accept that these are happening to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's
Mhm.
what makes us human. We're imperfect. We're not always right all the time. We're not always in control of all the things around us all the time. And it helps us stay grounded.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir Novi. Now for the last segment, we have Hero You Out. This is similar to Boy Abunda's Fast Talk, Sir Novi.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll be asking you a series of questions, choices actually, to which you should answer only one. Walang both, bawal. Bawal both ha, Sir Novi.
Okay.
Okay, let's begin. Number one, your own mental stability or a special someone's own mental stability. Walang
Ang
explanation
hirap.
din pala. Bawal mag-explain.
My special someone's stability.
Wow. Number two, forever socially isolated or forever socially interacting.
Forever socially isolated.
Number three, a healthy social environment or a healthy self-identity.
A healthy self-identity.
Number four, go out with friends or go out alone.
Go out alone. Alone.
Number five, if you could go back in time to tell your younger self something in one word, what would it be?
It's okay to be gay.
In one word.
Sorry, sir.
Pero valid pa din yun, Sir Novi. Pero in one word, sige.
Okay.
Wow. Number six, in one word, describe mental health.
Self.
Number seven, in one word, describe depression.
Dark.
Sir Novi, out there are a lot of people who are struggling with their mental health illnesses. And number two, people who are still skeptical about seeking professional help. What is your final message to them?
If you're struggling with mental health, know that it is medical problem. It's not a certain problem that you need to solve by yourself. It's a medical problem. You need to reach out. You need to talk to someone. Or by any chance that you come to my page, please ask us how to help you.
Thank you, Sir Novi. I've learned a lot. Number one, be accepting of yourself. Number two, um, everyone is going through a battle that you don't know about. Thank you so much, Sir
Correct.
Novi. It's an honor to have you here in the podcast, and I wish you well, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This is Hero, your host, and I'll hero you out in the next one. Bye. Say goodbye, Sir Novi.
Goodbye, everyone. Please visit us as Pusong Psychological, and we're
ay,
glad to help
ay,
you.
oo nga. Sige, plug. Go lang, plug ka lang.
Baka madami pa yung mag-book sa amin. Baka mahirapan ako. That's good.
Pusong Psychological on Facebook. To, tama?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Novi, and goodbye, guys. Bye.
La la la, hear me out. La la la, you're not alone. La la la, hear me out. La la la, you're not alone. La la la, hear me out. La la la, there's so many things that we can talk about. So hear me out.